Hi everybody, this is SPRWF from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the marijuana sector. Okay, first up we have ticker symbol MJ. This is the Alternative Harvest ETF. So yeah, it had a gap down open today, bounced off of EMA 13 here at 37.96. As long as that level holds, that would be good. That would be bullish. It closed back above EMA 8. What you want to see tomorrow is a break above EMA 4 at 39.83. Trading above 40 would be really bullish. You want to get that pattern going again where it's riding that pink line higher. Now if it dropped below EMA 13, that would put the middle Bollinger Band at 36.42 on deck. As long as that level holds, the uptrend should continue. Take a look at HMLSF. This is Horizon's Marijuana Life Science Index ETF. And as you can see, it did close below EMA 4 today. That's the pink line. So it needs to get back above that level. That's currently at 1912. Okay, if that turned into resistance, then it could pull back. It held EMA 8. This is a very tight trading range on a little reduction in volume. Just a pause day. Right now, the uptrend is still intact. It just needs to hold support and get back above EMA 4. As long as the middle Bollinger Band at 1760 is holding, the uptrend should continue. Okay, let's look at TLRY here, ticker symbol TLRY. It closed down another 19% today. It's hitting 51 here on RSI, so you want to see it stay above that 50 level. Check out Fasto. Now it's below 20 at 11.8. It's at oversold levels now. So now we're looking for a technical bounce. All right, so it pulled back and retraced and then it hit our target, which was the middle Bollinger Band. Now it's currently at 192. If you look up here, it was at 98.58. Today, I believe the low was 97. So it came right down and hit our 98 target and bounced off of that level. So that was really sweet. What happened was it ran up to that orange line there. That's EMA 13 at 120.84. It hit that level and failed to break and pulled back. It retraced all the way back to that middle Bollinger Band. It's going to need to hold that level to get an uptrend going, or keep the uptrend going. Now in after hours trading, it did close at 108.31. Now that was a change in trend here after after this pullback, because it had been trading lower in after hours trading the last two sessions before today. So trading higher, that is signaling that traders are loading for the bounce. To get going, it's going to have to get above that 121 level, EMA 13, and then it's all about 130. EMAs 4 and 8 are at that level. They have to turn back into support for TLRY to get pushing higher. Now if it did drop below that 100 level, 101 level, and that turned into resistance, that would signal downside risk. To the downside, there's this unfilled gap down here, and so that gap fill would be the target if that middle Bollinger Band turned into resistance. Right now, it looks like it's trying to bounce. If you look at the TLRY 15-minute chart, you can see here we had the bear pennant and then another bear pennant. It came down here and broke the 300, the blue line, simple moving average on Friday, and then today it came down here and broke the black line. That was the 400 simple moving average. It closed down here below the middle Bollinger Band. That's currently at 105.24. So at 108, it's above that level. It needs to stay above 105 tomorrow. If you see it trading below 105, that's going to signal downside risk. If it can hold 108, the big level is this green line. That's the 50 simple moving average. If it can get it back above 118.50, that's going to put TLRY back in play officially according to our rules for the bounce. Okay, let's look at GWPH here, GW Pharmaceuticals. So yeah, it had a little pause day today. This uptrend has been strong. It had a nice multi-day push on huge volume. You could check out the big volume spikes. Notice the decrease in volume today. It was a light volume day. EMA 4 is still holding at 162.68. As long as that level's holding, the bulls are still super strong and in control. Now, if it dropped below, you could see a drop down here to 156, 157 to test that EMA 8 level. To the upside, it's all about 170. That's the recent high close. If it can close above 170, that's going to signal that it wants to head higher. Okay, let's look at CGC. So CGC closed up 5.5% today. It's been trading in a sideways channel, and so yeah, it has RSI and Fasto both in the bull zone right now. Check out the sideways channel here. It closed just fractionally above the top of the channel here. The closing price here on September 4th is the key level to break. I would say it closed right at that level again, and so the key is to turn 52.50 into support. If it does turn into support, it should retrace back up to that 57 level. Okay, so to the downside, if it failed to hold 49.50, currently the middle Bollinger Band's at 49.15. So basically that 49.50 level, if that level failed to hold, that's going to signal downside risk. It needs to hold that 49 level to keep this middle Bollinger Band intact. Super tight sideways channel. It's at a flex point here. I mean, at some point, either it's going to break above 52.50 or it's going to drop below 49. All right, let's look at Cronus Group here, ticker symbol CRON. So it retraced back to the middle Bollinger Band here, and so it's trying to bounce. Look at the light volume down here. Check out the declining volume pattern. So when you get a declining volume pattern like that, what it does is it sets you up for a volume spike. And so since the declining volume pattern is happening on a pullback, notice the pullback, what it's telling us is that the sellers are tiring on the way down. You know, it's finding support here. The people selling shares are getting tired, and all it needs now is a bullish volume spike. It needs a spike bigger than the last two volume bars, a green spike, and a break above this EMA4 at 1224 resistance as the signal that Cronus Group is ready to head higher. So look for a bullish volume spike and a break above 1225, just to make it easy. If that happens, it's going to be like, okay, Cronus is in play, and then you're looking for a run back up to that 1375 level. That's the big recent high close. That's going to be the level to close above and head higher. Now to the downside, if it were to drop below 1150, that's the middle Bollinger Band level here, that's going to signal downside risk. It has to hold the dotted purple line to keep the uptrend intact. Okay, let's look at IIPR here. So yeah, this is the real estate marijuana company here, and so it did take a breather today and pulled back. Okay, so it had made the new all-time high on Friday and had the all-time high close here up here at 47.50 and 49.50, and it did pull back today. It formed the red candle. Notice how this red candle penetrated more than halfway to it down into the midpoint of this previous white candle. What that forms is bearish dark cloud cover reversal pattern. You can see here. It did form the bearish reversal pattern, and so you know, we'll see if there's bearish reversal confirmation. Right now it's about 45.72, holding that EMA4 level. Notice how that level's been holding during this push higher. If it were to break, you could see a drop down to that middle Bollinger Band at 43.45. If that level's tested, that middle Bollinger Band, and it holds, it's the reload level, similar to here, where that broke and then it came down, where the the uptrend broke on the red candle, and then it retraced back to the middle Bollinger Band that held and it bounced. Even right here, you could see it came down, hit that level, and then bounced. And so if that came down there and hit that level and it held, that would be the reload zone. Okay, if it dropped below, that could signal the possible start of a new downtrend. Right now, it's just in a very strong uptrend. It had a little pause. We'll see if it can, if it's just a breather, or if it's going to have a little more of a pullback. Okay, let's look at Aurora Cannabis here, ticker symbol ACBFF. All right, so don't take your eye off of the stock. So what's been happening is you have TLRY and Cronus Group, and then CGC and IIPR. Those are all in play in what we talk about a lot, because they trade on the big boards, on the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange. A lot of ticker symbols like Aurora Cannabis here, they trade over the counter. And so what's going on with Aurora Cannabis is they're getting ready to uplist. Their process commenced to list securities on senior U.S. exchange. Not sure if it's going to be the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, which one, but they're going to be uplisting to a big board here. And so what's happened with TLRY and Cronus Group and the others and Canopy Growth is it really sparks interest, and they've done really well once they uplist. So keep an eye on it now while it's still down here at 950, because it has a lot of catalysts coming. They just posted earnings here with 19 million in revenue. These are real companies. I mean, look at the 223% top line annual revenue growth. You know, they're not making the big bucks yet, but they have this is they have a lot going on here. I mean, you could see here their kilograms produced here. So yeah, just keep an eye on ACBFF here. And so right now it's filling the jar, and so filling the jar is where it hit a top up here at 12. pulled back down here to 4, and now it's working its way back up to 12. It's at 950 resistance right now. A break above 950 should get it heading back up to 12. I would think that it should be able to work its way back up to that level, but you never know. Dilution is always a factor with these companies, and so if they did start selling shares, it could stall the run out. But as long as they keep the printing press on hold, this could keep pushing higher here. Yeah, they have a lot of catalysts in the future to spark interest. And so at EMA 4 here at 908, that's the big level to hold. If it were to drop below 9, that's going to be the signal that's going to consolidate. So it's at a flex point right now. It's either going to break 950 resistance or 9 support. Above 950 signals upside potential. Below 9 signals downside risk. Okay, take a look at AFRIA here, the APHQF. This is another top dog. I mean, this is just as big as Aurora Cannabis. At some point, they will, I'm sure, be uplisting as well. Yeah, this is also a takeover candidate or partnership type candidate. This is the type of company that a large beverage maker would want to team up with. And so don't take your eye off of this one either. Yeah, so right now it's in pretty much a sideways channel. It had the little dip here, but most of the candles closed within this range here. And so it's going to be all about holding this 15 to 1450 level. 15 is right now the bottom really of this channel, but 1450 is the middle Bollinger Band. It has to hold this zone. If it were to drop below, then it could consolidate. The downside risk, is coming down to the lower Bollinger Band, down testing the moving averages below. Now to the upside, it's all about breaking 1650. So above 1650, that would break it above high close horizontal resistance on September 10th, and that should signal more upside potential. Okay, let's look at NBEV here, ticker symbol NBEV. So it did close down 35% today, and yeah, we never like to see people lose money, but we were trying to warn everyone that yeah, that that this was a pump and dump, and so I posted lots of information on this, and yeah. Yeah, so yeah, and it's just one of those things. If you trade penny stocks enough, you'll know that stocks like NBEV are not investments; they're trading vehicles, and you just want to be on the right side of the trade. Anytime you have an Eiffel Tower pattern like this, where it gets super parabolic, look how steep that is. I mean, all these candles fit within these 2 squares here. That's just unsustainable. It just seems like yeah, it was just got ahead of itself and it pulled back. What did happen, okay, is this gap did fill here between these 2 candles, and so the gap fill is a bullish catalyst. Okay, so a lot of times a downward gap fill will set up a bounce, and so it did close higher in after-hours trading at 415. It closed at 396 in the regular session. It's going to be all about for tomorrow getting above this line here at 420. If it can get above 420 and then back above EMA 4 at 486, it could start pushing higher again. Now if it's failed to get above 420, the big level to hold is going to be EMA 13 at 357. A drop below that level is going to signal downside risk. It could keep retracing down to the middle Bollinger Band at 253. That is the the big downside risk is retracing back to that middle Bollinger Band. That level could hold and bounce off of it, and the uptrend could continue. They do have a catalyst coming up with their CBD drink launch, so just have to see what happens here. So just keep an eye on 420 and 350 for the open tomorrow. Above 420 is going to signal more upside, but it has to get above EMA 4 at 486 for the bulls to be clearly back in control. What you really want to do is watch the 15-minute chart here. Notice how it pulled back. It's been below this dotted purple line. It tried to hold that level here, and it failed, and it had the big drop. So watch 405 tomorrow. Right now, it's trading above that in after-hours trading, or did, in after-hours trading today. If it could stay above the dotted purple line, it could get a bounce going. It came down and hit the 200 simple moving average at 377. As long as that holds, that's the reload level for the bounce. Now, if it were to break, it could come down here and test these lower moving averages, test that $2.75 to $3 support zone. If it got above $4, then it's going to have to come up here and break the 50 and 100 simple moving averages. Basically turn 550 back into support, but even just between $4 and 550, that's some nice percentage gains if you're a trader. All right, let's look at IGC. So yeah, it closed down 10% today. It did have a big bounce. So what happened was it filled the gap. There was a gap between these two candles, between high of day on Friday and low of day on Monday, or high of day on Thursday and low of day on Friday. And so Monday's candle here filled the gap. Notice how this wick filled the space. And so the gap is filled. Many times that sets up a technical bounce, like I was just saying before, and that is what happened here. Notice that the low of day was the bottom of the gap. It hit that level and bounced back up. And so right now it's hitting top of gap resistance. Notice how it closed right at the top of the gap level. So it's going to need to break above that level and turn it into support to head higher. Just above that is high close horizontal resistance, which is at 290, the top of this white candle. It's going to need to keep making new high closes for the signal that the chart's still strong and it's still pushing higher. Once a stock stops making new high closes, that's a signal that it's cooling down. Now, if it dropped below EMA4 at 235, it could pull back and consolidate. It has to hold that middle Bollinger Band at 156 to keep this uptrend going. Keep an eye on the second gap below down here. There's a gap between these two candles. A drop down here to 145 or so would fill that gap. Okay, let's look here at OGRMF. Okay, so this is the takeover candidate. You know, it closed down 2% today. Notice where it's hitting right now. It's hitting the line that I was talking about earlier, that middle Bollinger Band, the dotted purple line. It's also the 20-day simple moving average. And so it's at 531 right now. That's the reload level as long as it holds. You can see here that's where it bounces off of on the retrace. And you know, when you reload off of that level, many times you're rewarded. Now, if it were to break, you would have to exit if there was a close below, because that would signal downside risk. It's a fine line there on the reload level between getting a good low entry point and then having to exit because it's breaking down lower and starting a new downtrend. Okay, so to the upside, if it can hold this middle Bollinger Band, it has to get back above EMA4 at 548. So trading above 550 would be bullish. So keep an eye tomorrow on that 530 level. If it holds, that would be the technical bounce level. Okay, take a look at KSHB here. This is Kush Holdings Company. Okay, yeah, they make Kush Company Holdings. They make the bottles and the containers that the herb and different cannabis products goes into, and so they've been on a nice run here. You know, they've been running the U.S. marijuana stocks as well. Notice all the white candles in a row. Today there was a gap up open, and you know, this is pretty much like a hammer. It looks like a hammer. It did form bearish 3 gap ups reversal pattern today, and so we will be on the lookout for a bearish reversal confirmation. You know, it's got kind of a hammer candle here and the bearish 3 gap ups. It's right now it's all about staying above this closing price here on September 4th. If it can stay above that level, it should be able to push higher. It has a very nice uptrend going. If it were to drop below, then it could consolidate. What's going on is there's a gap over here between low of day of this candle and high of day on this candle, and so it's filling the gap. If it were to go up here just above 650, that would be a gap fill. So it's working on filling that gap. It really needs to stay above this 590 level to keep pushing higher. Okay, so let's look at one more here, SPRWF. Yeah, this one is cruising higher. It closed up to about 3%. It formed the black candle today. We don't like it when this happens. It had a gap up open up here around 205, and then they pulled it back. It has a good uptrend going. The volume is what's really got my eye here. You know, it has a nice uptrend going. It broke above the middle Bollinger Band down here. You know, it's been a double basically since this bottom, and right now it's having a hard time closing above 175. Look at all these candles right here. Okay, these are all below 175, and if you look at today, it actually closed below 175 as well. So once it finally closes above 175, that should be the signal that it wants to head higher, and then we'll be looking for a gap fill, you know, or jar fill, filling the jar back up to this prior January levels, which is up here around 260 or so. Now it needs to hold the middle Bollinger Band currently at 161 to keep this uptrend intact. Okay, thanks for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, come check out the chat. We have a marijuana chat going, and yeah, we post information and charts and technical analysis and fundamental analysis on the cannabis sector all through the trading day and around the clock. All right, thanks for viewing this video.